this fun stuff, see T1 have selected red side.
And that is a big surprise to me. As pointed out when we got out of the last draft, I felt like it was a draft that did have a lot of power if you get to the mid to late game on relatively even footing. That didn't happen, because on level 3 we had 2 teleports being invested after a really early kill. And the red side pick has me thinking that T1 has like something specific planned, because as pointed out, I would not mind them going for blue side and trying to fish for that first pick Jace.
Yeah, I think the bans will really tell the full story as we head into this second draft, because if T1 leave a lot of, jungle picks open, we might see a combo pick come through. We haven't really seen T1 prioritize the Diana in a long time. That's something else that could come up in this draft, even after the nerf on 11-16. There's also the possibility we see a bot duo committed to early for late game scaling once again for T1. The Aphelios is removed, and they'll actually take away this time the Azir with it.
Yeah, I kind of like that, right? Especially if you're thinking about first pick Ryze again. You take away one of its counters. Faker looked fantastic on it in game number 1. I think it's a great way to tailor your draft as someone. You don't have to change all that much, except that ban, I think, is going to help them a lot.
And interesting here is that the Aurelia is open, with the Ryze is actually getting banned here. So the Viego first pick is an option. I wouldn't mind the Aurelia considering how flexible that pick is. Downside of that, of course, is that I think that Dumb and Kia have looked the best when Showmaker isn't necessarily on a laning focus champion, but something that can spread his impact around the map. As Khan says, you know what? Give me another one of those.
I mean, this is another problem that you have as T1, is that if Khan just throws down the gauntlet and says, I'm going to always be playing strong side top, Damwon Kia is going to play around their strong top side, and Jace is banned away, you don't have a lot of great options as T1, unfortunately. You could see Kana looking a little bit frustrated at this pick once again. Maybe didn't think they'd prioritize it this highly twice in a row. We'll see what the response will be. The Viego did not work out last time.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Kana not happy with the way this is going so far. And the Viego will be picked once again. So if we were looking to try to focus on the bottom side and maybe pick away, like a Callista or something that can actually make plays on the bottom side, we're not going to see it yet. And in fact, we're going to be playing Gnar potentially, although they do switch over to the Gwen.
Yeah, I like the Gwen a lot more, and I think that the reason why you're a little bit frustrated with this ST1 is that normally when the Jace is not available, the #1 priority coming up next for T1 is always, or for Kana specifically, is always the Gnar. But picking Gnar into Camille is asking to get camped post-6 when the Hextech Ultimatum is available and you're in mini form. So we're going to have the exact same situation where the early game pressure is going to be firmly on the side of Damwon Kia rather.
Now, without the Ryze pick, though, this time, you won't be able to push as hard as Camille. You won't be able to run around the map that strongly. The Ziggs pick is going to go through this time, though, and it's a big favorite for Ghost. And Gumayusi, who's not starting today in this final, so he'll be able to lock the Leon up for it, because that could be a very oppressive lane, very strong in the early to mid-game Drake fights. But I do wonder if T1 are considering Faker's Twisted Fate here as a potential option to shut down this Camille in the side lane. You can have a lot more power yourself since the Ryze is removed. You can take a lot of control over those early game exchanges on the top side of the map. You're going to have that rotational advantage. I think it's a really strong pick for Faker, was targeted against him in the playoffs.
Well, you are correct, Wolf. No, you're not.
Oh, no,
sorry.
It's so close.
You actually got wrecked right there at the end. Faker will be playing LeBlanc, and LeBlanc right now is actually kind of insane. We've seen some LCK players here, our best mids, just really pop off in a kind of disgusting way. She can do insane damage without ever committing to a fight.
And we already saw how much Faker was able to get done on a pick that traditionally needs a little bit more time to get going. So I think that the LeBlanc is going to give him even more agency to carry from the mid lane, also a nice damage spread on the top side. And I think that the 2v2 between LeBlanc and Viego is indeed quite strong. I do really like the Ziggs pickup. I think it also stifles a lot of strategies that rely on bullying early on that dumb one bot lane, because the Ziggs is such an incredibly safe pick, and we've seen some counterplay. Nongshim's Yumi counter comes to mind, but that is something that comes with its own slew of problems if you want to opt into that, as even though it wasn't enough, Teddy's Ezreal still gonna get taken away here. And I love this ban because I think that playing into a Damwon Kia with Twisted Fate Camille is not a fun experience. You should never let that happen ever.
Yeah, with Ziggs to just wave clear with the 3, and then you just have Camille and TF running the Rift here. We see the Ezreal ban comes out this time around, so Gragas available was the ban.
Yeah.
The other ban that they had here from that one, and they're actually going to go ahead and pick away the Trundle this time.
Trundle can be very interesting in terms of what you can set up for your melees here, and the Viego and the Gwen can slow, can get in the front line, can toss pillars and lock these targets up. Ziggs is an extremely squishy champion. He's one that is going to struggle against all the burst damage, as this would be quite interesting. I don't think it's going to come through. Okay,
it's happening!
In the finals!
What?
First time this year for the LCK.
Damwon have prepped for this, and how about an Olaf to go with it? Kassadin and a Vayne for Teddy!
Okay.
You guys tuned into the right stream tonight, that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, look, you have a lot of late game power with both of these compositions. You have great side laning. Whoever ends up winning that top lane is going to roll away with that one. It's going to be once again flashless there, as you can see, with the summoners. But I gotta say, Damwon Kia's composition is so much easier to pull off, I feel, in those late game fights. You have so much setup. You have the Camille who can side lane really strong. You've got Ziggs' insane damage. Vayne isn't necessarily going to be able to pull that off. You're gonna have to get on top of this Ziggs somehow, and with the front line of the Olaf and the Camille, once again, I do worry about T1's ability to execute the carries.
And I think it's a terrifying prospect either way. There are so many picks on this current draft that if they get a lead, they take over the game. We saw Khan do it on Camille last, and I think that this time the top side matchup should be a little bit less lopsided. But Ziggs, Kassadin, if these champions find an early game lead, it's impossible. But then on the other end, you have LeBlanc and Vayne.
Yeah, you have the LeBlanc, you have the Vayne. I mean, you have a lot of late game power yourself, and if you can kill this Ziggs, if you can blow him up, or if you can pop this Kassadin when he does engage in, there are ways to just easily front-to-back team fight. If you see in the late game, Teddy is rolling around, vaulting through the team fight at full health, you know T1 is bringing us to a Game 3 tied up 1-1. It's just a matter of, can we get there? Can the front line get defeated here on the side of Damwon Kia? Will Teddy be able to pop off? That's the question.
Some insane picks here for Game 2, and it looks like we're ready to jump onto the Rift already. Here we go. Game 2 starts now. Cheers once again, coming from fans that are watching this one from home. Khan getting a nice little ward for himself up at the top side, and man, this is, we talked about, you know, early versus late game in this one, and now I feel like we're teleporting back some years as we have Kassadin up against Vayne in Game 2. What are your guys' thoughts on these two picks specifically?
The interesting thing for me is how much punishment is T1 going to be able to find with that mid-jungle duo? Because while I think the top lane 2v2, or top jungle 2v2 is incredibly strong, the Kassadin early on loses a lot of pressure, and even post-6, like, you're able to make some plays, but it's not even remotely comparable to how fast a Ryze scales up. In addition to that, the clear speed obviously going to be much less strong, and that means that there should be a lot more space for Faker to make plays, which terrifies me. Also, I wonder, I actually love this Trundle and Vayne combo because it's beautiful. You don't need a wall to condemn people into something because you have the pillar.
Yeah.
And I actually think that against a champion like Ziggs that can get punished with his only real reliable escape being his W can actually be a problem as you get a little bit further into the game.
Yeah, it certainly can be a very oppressive lane to deal with, especially once, you know, level 3 is up here for Keria and Teddy. What's really interesting to me is how this mid matchup is going to go, because in terms of what they're going to offer in late game teamfights, they're very similar, but also the opposite, in that Showmaker will be able to help execute kills, especially post 16 that Ghost does the chip damage for, whereas Faker is going to be doing a lot of poke damage himself so that Teddy can help clean up those kills later on with Owner, and there's a lot of reset potential. So what both of these mid laners offer in terms of what they're going to do in late game is completely different. As here's the fight.
We saw that combo. Didn't exactly work out, and Ghost immediately throws up the, of course, Damwon Gaming from last year, victory at Worlds emote. So a little bit of trash talk with the emotes. We always like a little bit of that here at the LCK.
And if we look at the amount of early pressure that's available for T1, as you can already see, right? Like basically every single lane is fully pushed in, and we see Ona moving up towards top side, just going to secure himself some vision. But it beckons to me the question: who is Canyon going to play around, right? Because with this Olaf, you want to try and get a lot done in the early game, but then you look at his lanes, and outside, I think, of Khan, who is on the top side of the map, which is a little bit further away from generally where you want to be, it can actually be a problem early on. Showmaker not going to be offering that much. Same for the bot side, who are already getting pushed in very aggressively.
And with the lane prior, they're going to look for a double scuttle here, and they will be able to get it. There's just simply nothing that Damwon Kia can do, and at this point, Canyon can't fight it out. So another trade goes into Kana's favor here on the top side of the map, but it's really difficult right now for Canyon to find power with this Olaf pre-6, and even with 6, you know, in this mid-game, he's going to do a lot for you maybe on your Rift Herald fight if you can have 6 for that one. But otherwise, Viego is so much more powerful in these early skirmishes because he has that explosive damage, he has that kind of guaranteed lock-up CC. So Canyon's going to have a long wraparound here, but will not be rewarded.
He might wait for the teleport, though. Here we go. Khan will have to teleport up here as well. And let's see if Kana gets baited into this one. He went all the way around the vision, as you mentioned. No flash again here for Kana. The undertow will land. They need that stun, though, onto him. Do they have the burst? Damage is the question. It looks like Canyon wants to go for it, but he will have to give up his life. But yet again, First Blood will go into the pockets of Khan.
Takes a lot of power, yeah. I mean, it really does. To pull this off, you have to actually wrap all the way around. And, I mean, the amount of, you know, burst that you have at this stage of Olaf is very low, but if you can hit the undertow, you can wrap completely behind that Gwen. It's going to be a lot more powerful, as you were saying, Chronicler.
The big thing here is that you trade a kill, so it's not as much of a destitute situation as it was in the last game, and it will keep Kana on much more even footing. The one downside, of course, he has already used his teleport. A lot of extra survivability that comes through from the Hallowed Mist, just the extra resistances that it gives you this early on. Very, very nicely, and as we see, Kana, with the wave state as it was, able to just make his way back to the lane without too much issue. As it has been a long time since we've seen the Kassadin, and it wasn't.
It was Showmaker.
Yep.
He did it last time, last summer. What a treat. And, you know, just a little bit over 1 year in that one, so cool to see. And you can see that he's got a nice little win rate here, 6-1. Nothing crazy, but he hasn't played that many games and only 1 loss so far.
And this is the thing that we've seen with the LeBlanc as she's kind of changed over the years. LeBlanc used to be an incredible strong lane bully, and even in scenarios like that, the Kassadin, with the amount of survivability, especially with Fleet and MR that he has available, already did kind of okay. But with LeBlanc kind of shifting into more of a poke style, which sounds weird, but it's a mix between poke and assassination, right? The Kassadin feels even less threatened in the early game. Now, Faker's still able to get himself a sizable CS lead, but Showmaker not really getting zoned out of too much experience, and with this matchup, you kind of expect to fall behind early. I think the real issue for Damwon is that this in of itself is fine. It's more about what's going to happen in between that kind of dead zone where Showmaker, yes, he has his ult, so he probably won't die, but he also doesn't bring that much to the team composition, whereas the LeBlanc has lockdown, has damage, and a lot more side lane threat.
She's extremely mobile. You know, you're going to have a lot more power on this Rift Herald fight as the LeBlanc in this exchange. Plus, you have the Viego, and if you get a single kill in this fight, it's going to explode for T1, right? And then you're going to get the Rift Herald, you're going to get a huge early gold lead, and we know what T1 can do with gold leads, as we've seen so much, as Faker just continuing to be annoying here. And the question becomes now is, Damwon Kia, how do you handle this first Rift Herald fight? Do you commit, or do you just keep Ziggs in the bot lane? Because he has a lot of power down there. If you actually do just skirmish for it but not commit to the fight, you can get some turret plates, but that's only if Teddy leaves. So there's a lot of macro decision-making that's going to have to come through here in the next few moments for Damwon Kia.
That's going to be interesting to see, you know, how heavily are we focusing onto that Rift Herald objective. We saw crazy stuff in game number 1. This might turn into a little bit of a different scenario, and I think Damwon feel as forced to all in onto that. And of course, as you mentioned, Wolf, they have that side lane pressure with the Ziggs. As Khan, you know, just a cheeky little roam down onto a LeBlanc with Flash. Not sure if this is going to work out, and he doesn't have teleport, so he's going to have to run up to the top lane.
Faker still gets the root, only misses the CS out of that whole exchange, and Kana's going to get a plate.
And yeah, on LeBlanc with Flash and W available as well. If you force a summoner, it's nice, but with the distortion available as well, there's not really any opportunity there, even with the amount of lockdown that you have available. As it looks like this is just going to be a free return as well, and this ties into what I was saying earlier. I think that Damwon Kia have opted into a lot of lanes that basically get shoved in perma, even with the early kill that they got onto Khan. This isn't looking like the monstrous snowball they found in game number 1, so it's basically the entire map is up for the taking now for T1.
Yeah. And this is a really nice response here from Teddy. Doesn't rotate all the way up, comes back very quickly. So not going to be a ton of value actually gained for Ghost in the bottom side like I was talking about. Doesn't even get a plate here. So T1 really knowing their win conditions and their strengths in this early game.
Well, let's see the setup in the top side. Khan could definitely force something onto Kana here if he wants to go, and here we go, the Ghost will be popped, and Kana just gonna have to try to sustain. He has the damage, and he's gonna trade a kill back, and that is huge. As Owner is here, not quite on time. Canyon will at least be able to pick up a kill of his own.
And it's a huge moment for the second time in a row. Damwon tries to go for the same play, and for the second time, Kana is able to answer his Ghost.
This is a little bit rough. He's going to have to flash there, and Teddy just doesn't care. He executes him with the E. The Condemn gets the kill, and that's all he's got to do. And that was straight up solo. Didn't even need Carrier.
And this is something I wanted to point out in Game 1, but we're seeing it here in Game 2 as well, is T1, there's so much to play for here. There's so much pressure, and yet there doesn't seem to be any nerves. The early game has been extremely aggressive for them. We saw Owner, you know, flashing forward, being extremely aggressive in Game 1, and in Game 2 you're seeing the same aggressive plays from T1. They're not backing down, and that's a good thing in a best of 5 like this. This could be an extremely long night of League of Legends, and T1 look extremely composed. They're playing to their win conditions. They're playing to the lane control.
Canyon is doing so much to help his lanes. Like, he is foregoing so much farm to just stay in the top side. And now we're just going to try to bully Kana once again. And you can see Khan can easily just tank this up. Kana surviving for a crazy amount of time. And Showmaker will just barely live. No, he goes down. The burn gets him. And you can see they're going to have some damage done to this turret, which will be nice. But it's 3 people committed to just kill the Gwen.
And this is a really strong position for T1 because even though you get the kill there, they have full prio here now on mid. They're going to grab several plates and they can rotate back to take the Drake and that Rift Sculler. You have so much power right now, and all that Damwon Kia get is a single kill, a few plates, and they're not getting much for the Ziggs. Rift Herald gets tossed down. It's going to be the whole turret.
And this time, it is a huge mid-game lead for T1. And Damwon Kia, 3rd time's the charm is what they think, but Canyon spends an incredible amount of time waiting there. And then if you invest 3 people on top side, you can't give up a kill like that. You can't take that long to actually take down the Gwen. And Kana, unlike last game where he fell behind incredibly, has been so good about absorbing all this pressure, because by the end of it, yeah, he's died 3 times, but he's also picked up 3 kills. He's not behind in CS at all. I think all things considered, he's actually up in terms of farm. And the playbook from Damwon Kia that we saw in game number 1 not working out for them this time around because they have less mid-game power.
Yeah, and you can see on the bottom side of the map here as well, this is where Ghost, you know, is just pushed back, not able to get anything, and then is punished, in fact. Goes down here, and you can see the Drake control is not really that great in live here for Damwon Kia. They're taking a big risk themselves. Meanwhile, can't secure the Drake. And things are just going hairy for them very, very early on. And this is a comp that doesn't necessarily need to have momentum control, but if with this much control going to T1, getting through that mid-game as Kassadin is going to be so hard for Showmaker.
Absolutely. And I misspoke before. It was actually Carrier that got it started in the bottom side onto Ghost with the pillar, and it kind of kept him in the lane for longer than he thought he would have to stay, not, you know, respecting the Vayne and what the Vayne can do against the Ziggs. Ziggs tries to throw bombs at the Vayne, and the Vayne just laughs at him, right? Like, the 1v1 is ridiculous. And as the Ziggs, you're just going to have to run away. And already with a kill here on Teddy, he's going to be feeling quite nice.
And this is, of course, the power that you have available with the Vayne, is that in long lanes, you can chase down people so easily with your passive, the additional movement speed that you get. And the problem with Vayne is that in terms of late-game teamfights, she needs pretty specific circumstances to do well, right? Effectively, Vayne just wants to 1v1, take one target at a time. As Showmaker, it's taken a little bit low, but should still be fine. And if you can create that situation, if Barrel, like that, just roams up and Ghost doesn't pay the utmost of respect, you just get blown up.
Oh, Showmaker getting delayed here as well. A little bit more power to Faker, who does have his Ludens first, so has a huge, massive advantage in terms of the poke he can do in this game, and he's just constantly threatening Showmaker, which means that Showmaker is losing a lot of farm. We're going to see the teleport commit here, which is actually dangerous.
Yeah, not sure about this one, but it is Kassadin, extremely mobile. He's able to hop around that stun and use that home guard speed to help him out here. Even a Ziggs bomb just to clear, as now Canyon is getting there onto Teddy, though Pillar not going to do anything, and Canyon's going so deep for this kill, and yes, he will be able to pick it up. But at what cost? The cost of his own life. Showmaker gets low, and here comes Kana. Kana's trying to come in from behind, and he's like, wait, where did my team go? He's definitely trying to corral them quite a bit. The flash stun going on to Ghost, who is left all alone. But look at the bottom side. They're just going to kill the LeBlanc. Ghost is kiting this out incredibly. Keria desperately trying to tank this up, and yes, they will get the kill. But the chase is on, and it's Camille and Kassadin who are on the chase. The scariest nightmare you've ever seen. Let's see if they can actually catch up here, as Barrel on the Leona as well. Trying to catch whoever they can. Owner up here. There's still the top turret left. And so they actually are really corralled in here. The pillar is not good. Down goes one. Kana on the Gwen. He might be able to get it done. That Ripwalk is not good enough, and Kana is trading it back so well. As now Faker gonna teleport in here and try to get something done to Khan. Eventually Gwen goes down here, but Khan is corralled into the alcove, and he will be left to die.
LCK Finals, baby. This is what it's all about. Kill after kill after kill. And when the dust settles here, you know, a lot of summoners expended for both teams, but T1, again, maintaining control over this mid-game lead. You see so much has to be committed here for Damwon Kia in order to get this to succeed. And it's still just not really trading up. Look at how much has to be committed to kill Teddy here. And it's just, at the end of the day, not fully worth it.
The one thing that you do here, I think, as Damwon Kia, is you buy time and you try and get as much gold as you can on Showmaker and Khan. Because even in a deficit, these picks have inevitability once they reach a certain item, or in case of Kassadin, experience breakpoint, right? And Ghost going down here at the very end, there is also a big investment coming through on T1 side. Kana on this Gwen honestly should just be left alone. Like, just don't deal with him anymore, because he keeps finding these straight kills every single time. Just an incredible performance from a player that had a pretty rough summer split, and in playoffs has truly leveled up. And it's mayhem all across the map. I think you'll still take it as T1 because of the other objectives that you're able to get as Canyon.
Oh boy, they really do not like Kana though. Like, how many times are they going to commit to killing this Gwen? It's insane. And again, it kind of ties into what you were saying, right? He's getting Khan fed, and they're trying to set up this insanely strong Camille once again.
Yeah, and now when you have the Camille set up here, you could do a lot with this mid-game, but it isn't the same type of control that we had last game. As we talked about in the draft, there is no Rise, there's no Twisted Fate to kind of help support the Camille that's pushing. So yes, if Khan gets fed, as he is starting to very quickly become, you're not going to be able to push all the way up towards inhibitor turrets as easily as you did last time. However, with this trade, it's definitely a massive win for Damwon Kia. They get that extra inner turret gold, something that T1 can't say they got on the top side.
And now Damwon Kia suddenly is heading gold again. Right? And they find these mid-game plays so consistently, where they take a situation that seems at the first glance like just pure chaos around the map, and just read their opponents so well. Because unlike the last couple of games, the immediate damage that's available doesn't allow Kana to actually get off multi-stack snips, or find a needlework for multiple people, which was what got him the earlier return kills. And I still think that we'll never reach a game state, as you can see. That's a gold graph right there. The game state that we had in game number 1, where Kana will be categorically unable to match Khan. A situation we have now is much more interesting, where it's more about how is it played, who face checks who, and what is the supporting stuff on either side. And then you look at, is Faker gonna roam around? Is Ghost gonna throw a bomb on top of an Hextech ultimatum?
It's a lot of questions that we still have yet to be answered. You can see Teddy, he's farming. So, he's trying so hard in the mid lane to farm up here and get something going. Showmaker, he's only level 12 here with that second level of the ultimate. He's got to be careful. He doesn't have that unlimited mobility just yet. And you can see Keria trying to threaten some picks onto him. Second Rift Herald comes in here. He's going to deal a lot of damage and take down that inner turret. And so T1 gaining a lot of map control over the middle of this map.
I feel like where the gold is going here for T1 is where you want it to be right now. Because yes, the Vayne is not at a massive lead or anything like that, but she's in a position to where she will be able to carry later on. She's building a little bit of magic resistance, which is something you can also do against T1's carries. Their comp is very AP focused. She's going to be fine to set up if the damage is there from LeBlanc and from the Gwen. And so far, the positioning has been good of these two players. And if you end up getting those champions low, then Owner suddenly becomes the biggest threat. It's Ghost once again.
Oh boy, look at this. I mean, he has to flash. And this is what I was talking about. This is why you pick the Vayne into the Ziggs, because if it's ever one-on-one, the Ziggs always runs.
Yeah, you never have a chance. And the Ziggs is a pivotal point for Kia. And if Ziggs dies, they have no wave clear. And this is something that we're going to have to see. Ghost positioning in the mid to late game needs to be immaculate. Because if you lose a team fight and Ziggs is still alive, you're fine. You know, you can hold on to your turret, you can hold on to your base, but if the same fight happens and Showmaker and Khan might still be alive, yeah, they have Olim potential. As here they go again.
Goes for the face check, and he doesn't even have Subjugate here. Took Ignite for the lane as well. And so probably wouldn't have even used Exhaust, so he's just going to go down just like that, trying to get vision around this Baron. And I can't blame him after game one. And how about this? Dom1, doesn't really matter what the current state of the game is. They always seem to find these picks. As now the teleport comes in from Kana. You can see that Kia at least are going to respect him.
And Teddy's winning out because he's getting a lot of extra free farm for this. And yes, eventually Kia will be able to take this turret out, but they're not going to be able to do it with any other advantages on the map. You can see Teddy gets away with this for free. Now it's still a win in grabbing the turret itself, but that was a really risky play from Kia. You could see a lot of question mark pings going down when they were making the aggressive forward there to look for the pick in the jungle, but they decided to commit for it either way because they saw how Faker was moving. As Keria getting picked here is what starts it all off.
Just an unfortunate situation with Keria face checking without really any help from his team available. As you pointed out, no Subjugate means that there isn't even the potential to stall a little bit longer. When you hit the Leona with Aftershock and Eclipse, you can become insanely tanky. And I think once Teddy has the Wits End finish, the Dom1 threat becomes basically only Khan. Canyon is still a relevant threat in terms of AD damage now, but I think the further we get into the game, the less it's going to be a problem for the Vayne as she gets more and more items going. But Khan will always remain a problem, right? And if we look at last game, Khan was able to find consistent backline access, and it's starting to feel like a game where T1 was actually in a good spot, but Kia, they drag it back again.
Look at the map positioning here. Canyon is literally chaperoning them into an inner turret on the top side. The teleport committed to by Showmaker, who's got Everfrost. He's going to have to get out of here as he is level 13. And here comes the wraparound from Canyon, actually just running straight at Kana. And he's got the damage. He makes this Olaf look so insane. Even picks up the second kill. And that's going to be Baron, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah, and there's nothing that Teddy can do about it. The entirety of the point of T1's players to set up defensively against Khan here, limit how much he's able to do so that Teddy can free farm. But the power of this Vayne isn't going to come online until much later, and you're not going to be able to do this until you get the 5v5 team fights. The power of this Camille is now, it's here, and this is not an equivalent exchange. This is not what you want.
Oh boy, an Owner just running straight into vision. Not the play you were looking for. Even Showmaker looking for more. He's going to get a little bit trolled by the pillar. It's still a gigantic swing and win here for Dom1, getting the kills and picking up the Baron.
And last game, it was all about Khan. But who enabled Khan, I ask you? And the answer was this Viking right here. Because it was incredible, right? Well, he's able to first get on the Trundle in a much more supportive way, but man has no fear.
And you can't punish this as T1. so because of the chaperoning, as Valdez called it, which I really like, that you're seeing from Canyon here, you have this push for free because Olaf is always going to be able to stand as a blocker between the rotation of T1. And yes, if you look at the minimap, you can see that Teddy is getting farmed on here. This is a great collapse onto Owner. They know that someone's going to be staying there looking for the 50-50, the jungler in this case. And you do gain something with this extra farm for Teddy, but he's not ahead enough to make it worth it. And T1 have just lost complete control over the map. There's no split push power here.
It's definitely an issue for T1. You can see they're trying to get whatever poke damage they can do right now. And they're trying to get Teddy to actually have some kind of impact in this game. You know, so far he's just been farming. We need him to get more than just the solo kill if you're looking for T1 to get the win. Kana in the pit here, all alone. He's going to have Faker over the wall to help him out here, but a lot of damage already done. And you can see that that zoning power of the Ziggs is getting work done. Keria even taking some damage. Khan is such a menace right now, and T1 just going to have to back out of it. There's the cleanse out of Teddy, and they will just have to give away that dragon.
And that's a big moment for Damwon Kia, as they're still looking for a possible chase. Of course, have the Baron buff available, so you can try and get a shove in mid here.
Yeah, Damwon are just kind of crazy at times. They are feeling themselves right now. They know that they have so much potential to win these fights. They're just going forward as Beryl is going to go extremely deep on this one, but he's got his team to back him up, and now it's a bit one by one. T1 holding the Phalanx. They can't get the damage. Teddy has to flash the Mega Inferno Bomb, as he will not have that for the next fight. No summoners for him, and now with the Baron, DK gets so much.
And that's the combo, and the fearlessness of Damwon Kia is something that very few teams in the world can match, and it feels like T1 were from a position where they were looking favored, Kana was trading nicely, and suddenly it's free, 4 plays that Damwon Kia just completely forces upon them, and there's nothing that T1 can do. They're unable to find any of the setup, the poke doesn't land, Teddy is given no space whatsoever. It leads to a situation where we've gone from a T1 gold lead to now 2 Drakes up for Damwon, 4K gold lead, and Kassadin's level 14.
The only times you've seen Ghost under any pressure were in those 1v1 scenarios that Valdez was talking about. And if you can't get on top of this team, you can't get on top of the Ziggs, he's going to zone you out. This is not just an issue with the Baron buff pushing down mid, but this is an issue as we saw on the last Drake fight. If you can't actually close the gap on top of him and you take too much chip damage, your Viego, your Gwen, these champions are not going to be able to engage when they're at half health anymore. So this is a really big problem that's starting to compile upon itself, and Faker isn't able to find those picks, that poke, as you mentioned, either. And so it's just a problem that begets a problem, especially when you don't have vision.
Oh, no. Oh, this time around, doesn't look like they want to commit to it, especially with Teddy still in the bush. We do have Showmaker around as well, so it doesn't look like T1 really want to commit to this either, although Teddy will come back. Waiting for Owner. A little bit of skirmishing down on the bottom side. There's no objectives right now, so this is one way to try to look for picks and get back in the game.
And as Damwon Kia right now, you're fine. Taking it easy. You know, just try and get Showmaker into a side lane where he's relatively safe. The rest of the teams will scout out. You know, we'll secure some vision for you. Just trying to get as much experience as possible onto that Kassadin for that famous level 16 spike. Also has his tier fully stacked. And everywhere where Canyon is, T1 need to respect. And this is something that I think normally would go away around this time, 25, 30 minutes is where the Olaf starts to drop off. If he's this bad though, that doesn't really apply. I think at this point, Canyon, especially with how good his decision-making has been, can 1v1 anyone as Ghost.
Oh no. This poor Ziggs, it's like escorting the president. Like, how is he gonna get away from all of this skirmish from the side of T1, though? That's really a huge question. They find him in the jungle alone, and that was really all Owner setting up the pick onto him, so the flash stun comes in, and you're going to take down the Ziggs, which is a crucial part of Damwon's team comp.
And this is when the cracks really start to show. When you don't have the full Phalanx setup, when you don't have that front line for the Ziggs, when he gets caught and picked, your wave clear is gone, your control of the map falls with it, and when T1 are grouped up together like this, 4-1 with Teddy split pushing, you're going to get a lot of value. This Vayne, if she ever gets to team fight front to back, if that front line ever kills a Ziggs before a major objective, the fights become almost unwinnable for Damwon Kia. So mistakes like this are just unacceptable. The risk is so high, and if this happens before a Baron or before, Soul Point, this is where T1 can catch back up in this game.
Because that's the one saving grace, is that there's no objective up. Yeah, they lose a bot side turret, it's a lot of gold going into the pockets of Teddy, but it's not the end of the world. But they had a lot of vision as well. This was not something that came out of nowhere. There were multiple wards, there was a control ward that was aware of this movement around the map. And I'm loving that we're seeing Owner and Faker still consistently trying to look for these type of picks, because that is actually where Damwon Kia is the weakest. If they don't know the situation of anyone on T1, there's a lot of fog available from which you can play through. You can still blow someone up. Faker hasn't been the highest profile player in this game, but he's still LeBlanc with 3 kills, a death cap, and a Ludens, right? Like, if he ever looks at Ghost angrily, he will just fall over.
That's the key. It's just been so difficult because of how well Cannon's been playing, how much vision he has control. But if he's not there, it gets more difficult. He's going to be annoyed here.
Trundle, very fun. You can see the side lane once again. It's a 3-level difference. Not sure how this happened, but when you bully Kana 6 times, I suppose, that's enough to get Khan to that insane part. And yes, Kana did just hit level 14, but you can feel the deficit in that side lane. As Damwon Kia, they're just going to go for it. They have the damage for this Ocean Drake, and there's vision on the Baron. And so Teddy's like, well, you know, I'm Vayne. We could probably burst this down, but they just have too much vision, too much control, and we can't exactly make a move like that right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem.
Well,
I mean, this is desperation. This is so late. They have time to rotate now.
They have a lot of damage, though, but as you mentioned, the teleport here from Khan is available. The rotation will come in on time. And that's really the important thing. Damwon Kia are here, and now there's no distortion, and this LeBlanc can't get away from Khan! He's just gonna take him out, and the 2-man! Solar Flare as the Vayne and the Gwen are trying to do something to this front line, but Showmaker, he's now level 16 actually. He's gonna have to come back here, Khan, trying to escort the rest of his team, and he should be able to. Teddy is pretty insane, but the tankiness is too much as the kill will go into the pocket to Khan, and Damwon Kia, they might just do it again.
That's almost a clean ace! They find him on the Baron, and as Wolf pointed out, it's so late, T1. If they want to go for that play, I think, even as scary as it is, they need to pull the trigger immediately. And man, you can't give Khan this Camille anymore. That combo with the Ziggs literally won the fight from the start. And I feel like we've said so many times, it's a nice effort from T1, but effort isn't enough. You need to actually be able to win the fights, and no matter how close they get, in the end, it's always done.
The pieces are there for T1. As you can see, by the time this Baron hits 5,000 health, Damwon Kia already rotated in. You mentioned Valdez Khan gets that kill onto Faker because he knows he's already used his distortion. And once LeBlanc is dead, there's not enough poke damage, there's not enough consistent damage for Teddy to carry. Look at how close he gets. Like, he's dancing on the edge, but like you said, Crumpler, that's not enough. You need these fights to be cleaner, you need these calls to be more decisive, and this is something that we really treasured from T1, honestly, at the end of summer, was how much more decisive they became. And yet, here in this second game, it starts to fumble a little bit. The pressure is on, and T1 make a late call, and it's way too late.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of, okay, let's trust in the Vayne damage. We can probably burst this down. They just committed to the Ocean Drake. I mean, they had to have known that Khan had his teleport, though, right? So you have to question the decision for them to go for that, but just a little bit of a miscalculation, and Damwon are the team that you never want to do that against. You'll remember the spring final, Gen G were so far ahead in game 2, and one mistake, it was only one mistake, and then Damwon 3-0'd them, and they made it look easy. You cannot make mistakes against this team.
And now they're shoving in with the Baron buff available. A lot of siege, and it's all on Teddy now. The amount of defensive MR that's available for Damwon Kia is so hard to deal with. Showmaker is level 16, still needs to be respectful.
I mean, look, they can just split Showmaker on the side because he's able to get away from anything. Look at him flashing the Teemo.
What is this?
He knows there's no way anyone can punish him. There's no way anyone can chase him, and that's an inhibitor.
Yeah, and Teddy's like, well, I can't stop the push on the top side. So obviously he's got to do something else, right? He just wants to farm mid, push Showmaker away from the one lane, right, with the 4-1. And so they are actually able to push him away. But at the end of the day, it just looks so ridiculous because you can feel that Teddy's trying desperately. He wants to make a big impact on this game, but it's just so difficult.
And the inevitability on top side, If they get an Ocean Soul, I think that should be it, right? Because a Camille and an Olaf this fed with the itemization that they have, double stopwatch, and an Ocean Soul are they're never gonna die. Like, I don't think Teddy physically can get enough autos in before Khan hits the second Q and just blows him up. And if that's not enough, you have Ghost, and yeah, you know, Ghost hasn't had the greatest of games, got caught a couple of times, but it didn't actually lead to anything. And now he's sitting on 3 items.
And yeah, by the way, Cassidy.
Yeah, he hit 16 a while
Don't even
ago.
get me started on Cassidy.
There are 2 essentially glass cannons. I mean, they're not even that fragile anymore.
Oh, no. Not like this. Kana's bullied again, and you can feel the power. It feels almost inevitable, right? Level 17 on both Khan and Showmaker. They're playing late game scaling carries. They find enemy champion, they commit. They don't even know where the rest of them are. They have some vision in the enemy base, and they know that, you know, a couple of guys are there in the front. Teddy here, he's trying to make some plays. The zoom in is coming in. As Teddy
He's chasing.
should be able to get Khan here, you would have to imagine, as that will be a good kill, at least a shutdown. And as you said, Chronicler, so much relies on this vein on Teddy.
So much relies on Teddy, but he's only able to take these fights in perfect scenarios that are given to him on his silver platter. Every kill he's gotten so far has been T1 finding a... Oh, no, hold that thought.
And look at this. This is so important. The Ocean Drink is about to spawn. And Carrier just goes down like that. You cannot make that mistake again. And now Owner, he's just going to get blown up by Ghost. And say what you want, but he's been hitting those ultimates. And sometimes that's all Ghost needs to do. Quite literally. As now Faker, he's trying to make the play. You can feel the desperation from him. Maybe it's Teddy that can make the play. But now, with 3 of them caught out, they could just go for the end here. They don't even need the Ocean Soul.
And I don't know if there's anything that T1 can do, as you pointed out. Who needs Ocean Soul when you're this far ahead?
They don't need anything but the Nexus. That's what they say. Canyon burns down. It doesn't matter. They get the stun down. This poor Vayne. There's nothing that Teddy can do. And Damakia are going to take yet another game in this summer finals, even looking for the mental kill as well. With that extra kill, not going to get it, but it doesn't matter. 2-0 to Dom1 as they are crushing the finals.
2 insane fed frontliners. Again, you have Showmaker on the Cassidy, and he ends up getting 16, but it's not about the level 16 spike. It's about the frontline that can't ever be cracked. And yes, a few times, Teddy was left on his own to farm, but that